Video 3.3, the consumption function. I feel like we just did this in the last video, but here it is again, the aggregate consumption function. C equals A plus MPC times YD. And you have, again, just the basic setup for you, consumption. And this is, again, since aggregate national income, disposable income, or income, I should say. You have your slope still, is your MPC. Okay, shifts of the aggregate consumption function. Two things that'll cause it to shift. So remember, income is not changing because the change in income is already shown by the slope. As you go further to the right or further up on that curve, it is telling you that income is getting higher. If you're going lower or to the left, income is decreasing, it's becoming less. So it's not a change in income. But what would cause you to spend more today? What would cause you to spend more today, even if your income stayed the same? Well, if you expect higher future income. So my classic example of this is LeBron James in high school. His mom bought him a Hummer. This was back when Hummers were still cool. So this is like 12 years ago. This is 2003. And she bought him a Hummer. They couldn't afford a Hummer. She took out that loan based on LeBron James' expected future income, and it turned out that they could afford that Hummer pretty easily. So he got that Hummer based on expected future income. The bank was willing to make that loan because of his expected future income, so they consumed more even before he had actually made the money. If you're worried about losing your job, so you see other people at your workplace, they're losing their jobs, your company is going downhill, you might stop spending as much money because you're like, hey, I'm going to lose my job soon. I can't be spending money on these frivolous things. I'm not going to go out to so many dinners. I'm going to save some money just in case I lose my job too. So then you'd have a downward shift of your consumption function. Changes in aggregate wealth. The two best examples of that refer to stock market changes and the housing prices, home prices. If you own your own home and the home price goes way up, so you own that home already, you bought it for $100,000, now it's worth $400,000, well, that's good for you. You feel richer. And so you are going to spend more money, even though you aren't actually making any more money at work. You work at the same job, you make the same amount of money you made 5 years ago, but you feel wealthier, so you will spend more money because of your aggregate wealth has increased. Same idea with stocks, and that can work in reverse. So if it increases, it shifts upwards. If it decreases, it shifts downwards. This is the one time I let you say shifting up and down. So enjoy it. All right, we have planned investment spending. And it's exactly what it sounds like. Planned investment spending is investment spending that businesses plan or intend to undertake. So they plan for this. And the relationship that we're looking at here is going to be a hugely important relationship in this course, especially in units 4 and 5. But even now in unit 3, it's an important one. Higher interest rates. Remember, investment spending, we're talking about buying things, physical capital, changes in inventories, machinery, that kind of stuff, growing a business, building a factory, or just building a business, starting your own business. The way that people finance those types of things, investment spending is financed through borrowing. You borrow money so that you can engage in investment spending. The price that you pay for money when you borrow it is the interest rate. So this is a very simple inverse or negative relationship. Higher interest rates lead to lower investment spending. Lower interest rates, the money is now cheaper to borrow, so we will have higher investment spending. So that is one relationship there to absolutely know, and it's modeled for you on the bottom. We're not going to draw that model, but it is a good, again, representation for you, for those of you who the graphs help. You can look at that. If we expect higher future GDP, so you expect the economy to grow, that leads to higher investment spending as well. If you think the economy is about to go into the toilet, then you don't want to be engaging in investment spending because you think you're going to start this business and it's going to fail because the economy is going to do poorly. So expectations, they do matter, and we'll talk more about that throughout this unit. We also have, so there's a definition for inventories. We've already done this in unit 2. Inventories are stocks of goods for future sales. Inventory investment is the value of the change in total inventories. So sometimes, if sales are less than expected, a company will have higher inventories than they had previously planned to. So we call that unplanned inventory investment. So they had planned to sell a whole bunch of stuff and it's still sitting on their shelves. So we call that unplanned inventory investment spending. Remember, it does count as GDP because it goes into this category as I, and that's pretty much all there is to say about that. Actual invested spending is equal to planned plus unplanned investment. So planned is ones that they intentionally take. Unplanned, it's the result of leftover higher inventories than what they expected. This has been a La Money production. Look at that Damien. He's not a boy, but he's still there with his hoodie and his sunglasses. She doesn't even go here!